All right, everybody, bottom of the hour. It's 4:30 and time for another digital update here on our winter storm, which, if you've been peeking out the window in many spots, has finally started to push in. And it's going to get worse as we work way through the rest of this evening, right? Snow's pretty light right now. The air is still becoming saturated in and around the tri-state. So, you're probably seeing a few fine flakes out there. I'll show you some cameras, some of the flakes that have been flying. I've gotten reports out of Indiana. I've gotten reports out of Oakley. I've gotten reports from Mount Auburn. A lot of places here in town starting to see some of those flakes flying. The later we get into the night, the more the intense the snow is going to be. But still, don't expect a very significant amount of it before about midnight tonight. By midnight, about 1 to 3 inches. It's not going to be a lot, but it will be enough that we'll see some slick spots outside by midnight. After that, things really start to go downhill in a hurry. By early Sunday morning, we're talking 5, almost 9 inches of snow in a few spots, and then 10 to potentially up to 16 plus by tomorrow afternoon. The most intense snowfall, as expected for the last several days, is going to come on Sunday. Tonight, some slick spots. After dinner time, try to get where you need to be, right, tonight. We'll see some slick spots developing. I don't want you to get stranded outside this evening. It doesn't take much, to have a little bit of an accident and get stuck somewhere, because the later we get in the night and the overnight, you're not going to probably be able to get that car tomorrow if you're waiting, right? So try to play it safe tonight. You still have some time to get out and about, right? But later we get, again, it's going to start to go downhill in a hurry. And it's just the start, right? This is the beginning. It's a slow burn to start, but it's really going to ramp up tomorrow as the back end of this system with all the moisture. This is what we're keeping an eye on for Sunday, right? Part 1 through the overnight, and then part 2. Look how deep blue the radar is back there. That is very heavy snowfall rates, and that's what's going to get us to about 10 to 16 inches on the board by the day tomorrow. So nothing has changed per se in the big picture since the last hour. We are now starting to see some snowflakes flying. Road conditions, for the most part, will be okay through this evening. But as we get closer to midnight, especially through the overnight, our snowfall rates are going to pick up, and we're going to start to see some slick spots out there. We don't want you to be on the roads getting stuck in that if you can help it. 10 to 16 inches, that's the same total we're going to run with between now and the end of the event, right? We could see some slightly higher amounts at a few spots, but 10 to 16 is it doesn't matter, by the way, if you see 10 or 16 or anything in between. Impacts are all the same. It's going to be very slow go of it. We're going to have, snow on the roads probably lingering most of next week because, excuse me, I just ate, so I always get a little bit after I eat. Had to sneak it in at some point today. We have a big cool down. That's the second part of the storm I'm going to tell you about in just a second, but that second part, it's going to be brutally cold next week. Most of next week in the feels like temperature department will be spent below zero. Most of it. There's some times we could hop up, but even then, I don't think I have any temperatures in the feels like, wind chill department above 10 for next week. That's how cold it's going to be. So this is a high impact for many reasons. It's not just the snow. Obviously, that's going to have an impact on travel. But even in terms of school closings, pipes, that's the big thing too. People, pets, plants, and pipes. Protect all of those because it's a really cold stretch ahead. As you can see, as promised, the snow has arrived. The snowpocalypse is here, everybody, and it's only going to get worse. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Well, we got Ripley, Ohio. We got some Tollsboro. We got Loveland. Thank you for telling me where you guys are at. If you're seeing some flakes, let me know. This is a camera looking back at downtown, and you can see there on the downtown camera, we have some flakes finally starting to fly. You can see it was only a difference of about 2 degrees in that dew point department. It's still really dry air. -5. You walk out and your lips get chapped right away. Very dry air, but it only took 2 degrees of moisture there to get those flakes to be able to make it to the surface. Over here in Newport, we are seeing at times, this camera's a little bit tougher, but those flakes are still flying. We're seeing some snow showers rolling in, and then one more look over here at the Clovernut Country Club shows you at times they're flying in front of the screen. Some of those flakes rolling on through. Eric, we tell you 1 to 4, and that's just kind of the general window. And we did see some snow in there in that window. So sorry to disappoint. I'm sure I'll disappoint more again the next 24 hours. Let's see. Very little in Dry Ridge so far. Warren County chiming in. Adams County chiming in as well. Brookville, no snow just yet. Don't worry. We have a lot of snow your way. We'll pull up that radar here in just a second. What else we got? Snowing in Delhi. Bethel tuning in. Blanchester, we got Blanchester, Fairfield, Goshen, Mount Orab. Sorry, I got like 3 different things I'm trying to check comments on, so I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to keep up because there are a lot of people, as you would expect, watching here on this Snowpocalypse Saturday. Just the beginning of the Snowpocalypse. 14 degrees. By the way, it's already very cold outside. That is not going anywhere anytime soon. Here's the timeline. I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can see it. There we go. By midnight tonight, that's the first box here, working your way left to right. First box, 1 to 3 on the ground by about midnight or so. It is going to be a slow burn to start, but it really picks up as we work our way past midnight into tomorrow morning. And by the time you wake up at about 6, 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, you can almost have double digits of snowfall on the ground. 5 to 9 on the ground, area-wide, Sunday morning. Everybody, 5 to 9. Everybody, by Sunday evening, as snow continues to fall, is going to be about 10 to 16. So apologies for being a whole 30 minutes off. Forecasting and predicting the future is very hard. So that snow has begun. It will continue between now all the way through early Monday morning, about 4, 5, 6 o'clock. We'll see the snow-covered roads likely linger then much of next week because that Arctic air is going absolutely nowhere. It's going to get even colder outside. Below 0 actual temperatures Monday and Tuesday, maybe even Friday of next week, with a little bit more snow because why not? Sandwiched in there Wednesday night into Thursday. So still a lot of people chiming in. Thank you for telling us all where you're tuning in from this evening. Hopefully you're all staying warm at least. Even if you're not seeing the snowfall yet, you will pretty shortly. Here we go. Temperatures across the area. This comes as no surprise. It's very cold. We've been talking about that. Here's the radar. Again, we've been watching this little kind of donut hole of no precipitation around the Wilmington radar, because as that beam goes out in any direction, right, let's say that's the radar and it's going this way, right, it gets higher up in the atmosphere, right? So that's what it's picking up on, is these flakes just a little bit higher up, whereas right around the radar you don't see any precipitation at all. Right? You don't see anything showing up right here. That's because at the surface that air is still dry. So if you're not seeing snow yet, it's probably a couple hundred feet up in the air before it's evaporating, but it will eventually, the air will saturate, as we've seen. It only took about a 2-degree difference. Give it another few minutes. We'll get there. I mean, I promise you, this is not going to miss us. It is a very big snowstorm, of which we'll talk about in detail. All right, back to me, because why not? Here's a little wider view. You can see some darker shades of blue there to the west. That's indicating more intense snowfall starting to spread across central Indiana. That will further saturate the air here in the tri-state and lead to that snow starting to stick between now and midnight. Not a ton, but then things really pick up through the overnight. Blizzard, not a blizzard. I mean, it's going to feel like it with all the amount of snow, but that's a common misconception. It does not matter how much snow you have. That does not make a blizzard. It's the wind, and then it's the limited visibility. You have to have both of those for, certain amount of, I think it's 3 hours. So not a blizzard, believe it or not. So it's just a lot of snow. A lot of snow, a lot of cold, because on the back side of the system, we see part number 2 from the system, and that's going to be the cold. We have an extreme cold watch, which was put in place by the National Weather Service earlier today. That runs Monday and Tuesday. We might see it again by the end of the week, maybe Thursday into Friday, another one of these. But that means is that if it goes to an extreme cold warning, right now the conditions are favorable, and that's the watch portion of that, to see extreme cold. That's wind chill values 10 to 20 below 0, and that's what we have on tap for Monday and Tuesday of next week. So, it's not that road crews, this is the thing I'm just going to throw out there, because everybody should appreciate the road crews and the emergency crews and everybody else that has to go to work the next couple of days. Hospitals, we got nurses, doctors, right? Things still have to happen. And road crews, they'll get a lot of flack. It's just like me. I got people on here right now telling me, you're a half hour late. Okay, sorry to be a bother. Right, it happens. It's part of the job, so road crews are probably got the thick skin too. Probably thicker because I have to work outside. I'm just lucky I get to stand in here sometimes. With that said, it's not like they're not going to be trying the next couple of days. This is a very big snowstorm for the tri-state. The last time, if we get even close to 10 inches tomorrow, it'll probably be our biggest snowstorm, a one-day event or a 2-day event going back to the 90s. These don't happen all that often where these perfect ingredients come to place and puts us right in the bullseye. They're going to try their best. We got a lot of roads, we have a lot of hills, and this is going to be a lot of snow. So I know it's going to be tempting because a lot of people on the internet like to be angry all the time. Just cut them a little bit of slack. Everybody's trying their best, and that's what's going to be happening outside with the road crews the next couple of days. Also, just note, if you're on a side street, you're probably not going to get hit right away in terms of the plows coming through. Their big focus is going to be getting those main arteries back open for emergency crews near hospitals, state roads. If it's a road with a number on it, like a state road, a highway, those will be the first things that are going to get plowed right away. They'll eventually work their way to the side streets. I'm not saying you're going to be neglected entirely, but it might be a while, so that's why we're telling you to be prepared ahead of tomorrow, because there's a very good chance that even with four-wheel drive, you're probably not going anywhere anytime fast with this amount of snow. Ton of snow. Be nice to the road crews, and please don't go out if you don't have to tomorrow. You do whatever you want, but if you get stranded, it might be a while until somebody picks you up. That's just my advice. All right, I'm off my pulpit for right now. We'll get back on that later, I'm sure. Here we go, a little zoom out of what's going on. This is just the leading edge of a system that stretches here from the mid-Atlantic all the way back down into Mexico. It is a big system. It is a high-impact, long-duration snow event. We're going to be close to the freezing line tomorrow, where sleet's going to try to work its way in with some warmer air aloft. But here in the tri-state, most of us will see snow for the entire duration of this event. We're going to be right in the heftiest lines of that snow as it pushes in. So, this is a huge storm. I showed you earlier yesterday, we're not the only ones dealing with, this wintry weather. It's really hard to escape if you're trying to fly somewhere. Good luck, because everybody else is dealing with it too, and you're going to have to connect through somewhere, and most of those airports are running into the same issues we are going to have. Let's see. Let's see, why? What do we got people talking about now? Who knows? Okay, well, you know what? I don't know. I don't know what to tell people. It's just, look, you don't have to watch the video. I don't know what do you want me to do? Okay, anyway, I digress. Stay out of the comments section, folks. Here we go through the rest of this evening. Snow is going to be on and off through the rest of this evening, right? It's going to be light to moderate. We're not going to see a ton of it tonight. Don't be fooled if you go to bed at midnight and you're like, this is nothing. Because it won't be a lot. I'm telling you, it's a slow burn to start. The later we get in the night tonight, though, roads are going to be slick. We will have some slick spots out there. Depends on how good your tires and your vehicle is, right? I can just tell you, we got a lot of hills. Are you going to make it up the hill? Be careful, because I don't want you to get caught in this, because it's going to get really bad after midnight tonight. That's when you see a lot of darker blue starting to show up here. That darker blue is indicating heftier snowfall amounts. Heftier, snowfall intensity is a better way to put that. That continues through the overnight hours and then all the way through the day tomorrow. That little bit of pink there at the bottom of the screen, that is the sleet that's trying to push its way north. There's a little warm nose of air aloft tomorrow that's going to try to get pulled in. And if we do see some of that sneak into our southeasternmost communities, which, as you can see, is a possibility by tomorrow, late morning, early afternoon, it could compact the snow a bit. Sleet is little ice pellets, right? Think of it like a slushy almost, like a Slurpee, slushy, whatever you want to call it. That's what that's going to be like. It's little ice pellets. It can compact the snow a bit, make it a lot heavier to shovel. But the impact is still going to be the same. Even though it could, take down the snow totals a little bit in some of our communities off to the south and especially the southeast, the impacts are the same, right? It doesn't matter all that much. It's not going to change the overall, big picture of this. Working our way through tomorrow afternoon, snow takes over again, area-wide as cold air continues to rush in. Snowfall rates by 3 to 5 o'clock Sunday are going to let up a little bit. And then by late evening on Sunday, this will be pushing out with just a few lingering flakes from there into Monday, but nothing really significant. The worst of it arrives around Sunday morning through the overnight hours, Sunday morning, and tomorrow afternoon. And then we're going to be done with the snow. So here's what to expect on the ground by certain times, right? Giving you kind of a frame of reference here the next couple of days. 1.3 inches by midnight, 1 to 3 inches, right? 1 to 3 by midnight tonight. Obviously 1 inch, not a big deal. A few slick spots, it's fine. 3 inches, if you see that by midnight, it could be enough to strand people if you have really bad tires, right? Or if you have to get up a hill. That could be a problem for some people. So just note, before midnight, we're already going to have 1 to 3. Not a ton, but look what happens between midnight and 6 a.m. 5 to 9 total on the ground, right? So we're adding another 4 to 6 inches between midnight and 6. Very intense snowfall rates through that time get us to 5 to 9, and then we're going to continue to add on to that and eventually end up with a grand total of 10 to 16 area-wide. It's a wide window. Certainly that's, 10 to 16, that's a big, but the impact's the same between 10 and 16. It's going to slow you down, if not keep you at home for the next couple of days. Slightly lesser amounts the farther northwest you get with some drier air. The rest of us, it's 13 to 16. I'll show you one of the models, too, to show you how this all kind of just piles up very quickly. It's a raw model. This is what I like to put out, though, as a personal forecast, just so, you can see where we're kind of at and where my thoughts are, because the models sometimes don't really hit at that a lot. Sleet off to the south is a possibility, particularly in Mason, Robertson, Adams, and southern Brown County. I think that's where we really have the best chance to see some of that sleet. Otherwise, again, not a big deal because the impacts are all the same. If you do see some lower totals off to the south, it doesn't really matter. Don't forget, download. Sherry coming in saying, we're looking at a dusting. Sherry, I think you're going to be very disappointed tomorrow if that's what you're expecting. Let's see. I'm going to try to pop that out so I can actually keep track of these comments. Not that I really want to, but, part of the job. Occupational hazard. Yeah, Cantina coming in again. All right, let's see. We'll just do this. You can come back in 15 minutes when you're feeling just a little bit nicer. All right. So don't forget, you can download our weather app. It's free. If we do have any new additional alerts that happen here, I'm not expecting anything new to happen with that now, but this is an app that doesn't just cover winter weather. You'll get severe weather alerts when we get back to spring, which, by the way, I'm counting, it's 55 days. Something to look forward to with this wintry stretch. Great app to have. We update that several times a day. Right? It is a forecast put in by us, so it's not the other crappy apps you have on your phone that tell you some lies. That one is one that's controlled by humans. Okay? Here's the other part of the storm, right? Snow's one half of it. Here's the other half, and it's the cold temperatures. Very cold air. Okay? And before anybody else asks, I'm going to get back to the snow totals in just a bit in case you're just tuning in. I want to talk through the rest of this, and I'm going to go back, okay? That's the cold we have, and this is not in Celsius. That is a 0 degree Fahrenheit line, and as you can see, these are the temperatures we're expecting. This is what the wind chill will be like all of next week. This is why that snow is going to be there for a while. Once it falls, it is going to be on the ground for much of next week, and with temperatures this cold, salt doesn't work after 15 degrees or lower. It really doesn't work at 10 or lower, right? You might have a little luck at 15 if you have some sunshine or something working with it, but, it's going to be really tough for road crews to keep the slick spots away. Don't forget, you can always follow me if you're watching on the Fox 19 Facebook page here or YouTube or anywhere else. You can follow me on these social media sites. Don't worry if you haven't seen a flake just yet. It's coming. The air is nearly saturated. We'll see it again pick up through the overnight. So, and if you go to bed and you think, okay, maybe you're going to bed here in the next hour, that would be kind of weird because it's 4:49, but I get it that people have different schedules. Just wait until you wake up tomorrow. That's all I got to say. For the people, though, I'll believe it when I see it crowd. You will be seeing a lot of it. All right, let me hop back here to the totals. I'm going to show you one of the models, too, that we use. Drema's asking about snowball making snow. Maybe in a few spots that are closer to where that sleet tries to mix in. That's going to be your best snow, but most of this is going to be a fluffy snow. It's going to be so cold that it should be a very light snow. That's good news, too, because you can go out there and, with a leaf blower, and if you keep up, with it, you can, through the day, just blow it off a little bit easier than trying to shovel it. Brett was asking if power outages are concerned. I'm not expecting a lot of that around here. It's not that it can't happen, especially with the big draws on energy that people are going to try to stay warm in. It's not an impossibility to see some outages, but it's not the ice storm they're going to see off to the south. That's where the power outages are going to be a big problem. For us, luckily, we're missing that. So I'm talking way down to the south, South Carolina, North Carolina, all the way over to Texas are going to have some issues with that. But for us, it's just mostly the snow. All right, against my better judgment, let me see if I can find the model, one of the models here that shows us snowfall totals through tomorrow. No, it's down here at the bottom. Give me a second here. All right. Cheviot saying they got some snow coming down. So again, if you're not seeing it just yet, it's from west to east. It's starting to slide across. You'll see that snow starting to fall. Here's what we're expecting by midnight tonight. This takes us to midnight, right? So that's where I get my map of 1 to 3. If you don't see a ton of snowfall outside by midnight, don't be worrying, because here's what's going to happen as we work away between midnight and 6 a.m. Right? That is where it really picks up. If you go to bed and you're looking outside and you can still see some grass sticking through or whatever, don't be fooled and keep your Sunday plans, because you're going to be disappointed when you wake up and get blinded by some of the snow outside. By that point, quite a bit of snowfall on the ground, and then we work our way into the afternoon, and you can see these numbers go up. Look, this is raw model data. You got to take it with a grain of salt. There's going to be some compaction involved in this. And note just grain of salt, look at Maysville, right? Because that's an area where we could see some sleet mixing in. Most of us are in the double digits, whereas Maysville's still at 8. That's because they'll have some sleet compacting things a little bit. This particular model goes insane by tomorrow, so I'm going to stop it there because I don't want to put out any misleading information. I'm still in a 10 to 16 range. There will be some isolated higher amounts, because as you work your way past noon tomorrow, you can see those isolated higher amounts start to stick out. And it just keeps going from there. This is one model, one run, and we make forecasts based off of several models. So I just wanted to show you how quickly things turn from where we're at now. Even by 9 o'clock, you might not have any snow on the ground. Snow will be flying, but the snowfall totals really start to pick up after midnight. And you can see, we go from just a little bit of snow in some spots here, midnight, maybe even less than an inch, very quickly to almost double digits in a few spots by sunrise tomorrow morning. So that's how quickly this storm is going to start to pile up. It is a major storm. Please, please, please don't have plans to try to get on the road tomorrow unless it's an emergency. We're telling you to stay home. It's not because I want to keep everybody locked up watching these constant updates. It's because, it's just not going to be, you're not going to have much luck getting out there on some of the roads. So I'm going to hop around a few more cameras, and I'm going to call it quits here for this one. Coming up in just 7 minutes, Stephanie Roberts, the chief, is going to be over on Fox 19 on the air. She's going to break in there and do another quick chat on the air. I'll have another one of these coming up at 5:30 that's going to be similar, but I'm going to do a long one, and I'm really going to go into the comments against my better judgment. I don't know what I'm thinking. I will dive into the comments. I'm not ignoring you. I do appreciate everybody tuning in, right? These are just going to be kind of short. I'm going to go into more of a long form one now that there's 2 of us here, because I haven't been able to do that with just one of us in the building. So I'll be able to go in depth. We'll answer some questions if you have them, because I'll be able to keep a little bit better eye, and I'm going to figure out what's going on with this one too, because I messed it up and it's on a different screen now and everything. I don't know what's going on with this. Yeah, it just completely disappeared. Man, there should be a way to make this pop out. That might work. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to make something work here. Nope, that wasn't it. All right, well. Aha, I got it. All right, life's great. All right, so coming up at 5:30, another one of these where I'm just going to be casually kind of going through some stuff, watching the snow start to fall. And it's not falling so much there on that camera. You can kind of see it in the background of that one. That's from Mount Auburn, looking up towards the northeast. That is a camera in which the iris apparently is stuck open too much on the rooftop. This is Clovernook. Again, just a few flakes flying on that one. But the one where you're really seeing it, and this is how much just about 100 feet makes. This is on the tower looking back at downtown. And you can see some of these flakes flying from that view, looking back at downtown, how it's starting to settle in. So it's a matter of time. Snow's going to start to stick here soon. I'm not really expecting many slick spots until after about 9 to 10 o'clock tonight. And then after that, it's going to go downhill in a hurry. So coming up again, we'll be back at 5:30 here, bottom of the hour, on the streaming sites and the digital sites. We'll see you then, right? And then at 6:30, because on Saturdays we typically do a longer, stream. We do a stream anyway at 6 o'clock on Saturday. I'm going to do a longer version of this, starting at around 6:30, We'll dive into the comments. We'll dive into your questions. And we'll go from there. But that one will be just a little bit longer where we're going to answer a few more questions. So we appreciate you sticking with us. If you're going to be watching here again over the next couple hours for the snow to fall, you still have some time to get out and do whatever you need to do. But the later you get in the night, just know the worse this weather is going to be. We'll keep you up to date, though. We're all here next, I think, 36 hours straight. We have either one or two of us here at the all times. So we'll be here. And obviously, if you have any questions that aren't in the stream, you can always send me a message there on Facebook or on Instagram, and I'll be sure to get back to you. So thanks again. We'll see you again soon.